video is all about the Canadian Sustainability Standards Board, or the CSSB. I'm going to talk about who needs to know what it means for the future. But before I dive in, you can always lean on a CSSB consultant, somebody that's already in sustainability or environmental social governance, to kind of lead the way for your business. So the Canadian Sustainability Standard Board is this new entity, you can think of it as an entity, where they're going to implement sustainability standards for businesses in Canada, which is very relevant if you're sitting in Canada like I am. Basically, its primary goal is to enhance transparency. I see this a lot. People are asking, why are these numbers so wishy-washy? It'd be good if we just had a standard. So this is exactly what they're trying to do. So that companies will report transparently. There will be accountability to companies in their sustainability practices. So you should know that the Canadian Sustainability Standard Board is setting the stage for mandatory reporting here in Canada. So it means that along the line, businesses will have to start reporting their environmental, social, governance, metrics, maybe even policies, measures, targets, all that stuff. There's a bonus, there's a benefit, because suddenly your big customers will know a little bit more about you in regards to sustainability. They might already be asking you for this, maybe in RFPs or renewals, for example. Bankers will be able to see this information from you, investors, and even employees. So we've seen that revenue can actually increase and expenses can decrease when a company rolls out a good sustainability strategy. The CSSB is really similar to other global sustainability frameworks. One to mention is the GRI, or the Global Reporting Initiative that we see lots, or SASB in the US, or that's called the Sustainability Accounting Standards Board. Basically, aligned Canadian companies to these standards will actually help Canadian companies be more competitive on a global scale, because they'll already be reporting and speaking in these sustainability frameworks. But I'm sure absolutely your very first question for me is going to be, when is this due? When are the timelines? So the CSSB has outlined timelines for when companies need to start reporting. Beginning in 2025 right now, large companies will be required to report on their sustainability practices. And then by 2026, smaller companies will be required as well. So the Canadian Sustainability Disclosure Standards, there's number 1 and number 2. And these mimic what they're doing in the US. So the IFRS has S1 and S2 for reporting standards, and we will have the same here in Canada, it looks like. It's going to require companies to disclose information about their sustainability risks and opportunities. So this is related to your financial performance. So think number 1 is kind of related to sustainability financial performance. So a quick example would be for companies that want to report on governance structure or risk management processes. These metrics would be the ones we'd be looking for that are related to sustainability efforts. So it could be training numbers. We could get into it, but again, they're sustainable numbers related to financial performance of a company, mimicking IFRS S2, focusing more on climate-related disclosure. So this could be things like greenhouse gas emissions, or the impact of climate risk on your business's bottom line, or any of your company's strategy related to climate mitigation. So example, because they're so much easier, would be a company reporting on scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions, and then describing the plan to mitigate emissions with maybe a net zero target, for example. For example, you might disclose that you use 50% renewable energy, and your goal is to get to 80% renewable energy by 2030. So you're going to provide your baseline year, which let's say is 2022, for example, and then you're on your way to 80% renewable energy by 2030, for example. Another example, maybe under the S2 or the CSDS number 2, is that the company might report on 10% reduction in carbon emissions over the past year. And then you'll have to get into the specifics about where you got that, like switching to electric vehicles, moving some of your fleet, for example. The CSSB is paving the way for a more sustainable business landscape here in Canada. So I was hoping you would understand it, see what it requires for your business, and get to see how it aligns to other global standards. Then finally see how maybe it could benefit your business, and get some examples, tangible examples about what you might have to report on in the future. Okay, if you ever have any questions about the CSSB reporting, or just some consultation about sustainability or ESG, Feel free to drop us a line here at This Rock or reach out to another friendly neighborhood sustainability consultant.